Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of Butternomics. I'm your host, Brandon Butler, founder and CEO of Butter ATL. And today we have an amazing person in studio with us. And I will say this, first of all, this is our best smelling guest ever.
What?
I don't know. This is our best smelling guest to this date. Y'all got to step y'all game up. The one and only Marina Sky. Marina, how you doing today?
I am wonderful. Thank you for having me. How are you?
Man, if I was any better, I'd be you.
Okay, great. I didn't know what was going to be the end of that. And I was about to say amen, like, yeah. And then I had to think about it, and it was even better than I thought it was going to be. So it was great.
See, look at that. Great energy, great energy. So, look, everybody knows, everybody should know, we have the one and only mood magician herself in the building. She's done amazing work all over the place. We're going to now, a lot of y'all probably know from the Trap Music Museum, but there's a lot more stuff that's happened since that. But just for those that don't know, give them a quick rundown of, like, your resume.
Oh, man. I hate doing this.
Just a quick one. Well, don't worry, I got some more stuff.
Like who I've worked with?
Just, the fun stuff. I got some good stuff.
Okay, so to make it very short, or as short as possible, I am a set designer. I own a set design and creative direction agency. I build sets for music videos, photo shoots, TV shows, etc., world tours. I was a set designer for the Trap Music Museum. I have worked with Backwoods and Rolling Loud for activations. I've worked with the High Museum. Janelle Monae and Airbnb and a lot of things. I essentially have created a business around being a creative.
That's the best way to do it.
I hope.
That's the best way to do it.
That's what we're doing. So hopefully it's good.
What's swirling around in that head of yours? Like, how do you come up with these ideas?
I mean, honestly, my brain kind of never shuts off, and I think I seek creativity from every part of life. I can look in this room and see all of the different hues of gray and think that, that's actually a really cool color palette for a photo shoot. What if I did a shoot and everything in the shoot was different, hues of gray, including whatever the model has on as well. The creativity comes from the world. But also a lot of times the creativity can initially come from the client. So, we work back and forth and they come up with the initial idea and then we figure out how to make it a reality.
Well, see, I know you're creative. You're better than me. Let me tell you, I go into rooms. If it was up to me, I just have like a bed sheet over the windows and stuff like that. Like when I meet people that can, put the things together and like make something out of nothing, I just see these walls and I get stressed out.
See, you're smart. You've already pinpointed the things that you do like to do and what you don't like to do, and then you bring people in to do the things that you don't like to do. I learned that the hard way. It took me a long time to get to that point. I'm now there, and I'm very happy to be here. But you learned that far, far, far some time ago.
Now, what were some things you didn't like to do? I know that you first started, you had like your clothing line, and then you started. What were some things you didn't like to do before you got into this?
Didn't like to do from my business perspective?
Or what are some things you worked on? What's been the worst job you've ever had?
You can't ask me that.
Yes, I can.
Okay, I can't say.
You can't say? I mean, not with a client.
I still have to work with these people.
No, see, I'm not talking about client. You're supposed to see something like McDonald's or something like that. I wasn't talking about people. Come on now.
Okay.
I wouldn't do you like that.
The worst. I mean, honestly, I've been a creative most of my life.
Okay.
I had internships in jobs that were not creative forward when I was in college and a little bit after. So I guess in that time frame, the job I did not like the most. When I was in school, I worked at Linux and I worked at Aeropostale. Okay. And when I tell you...
It's a different time.
What a time it was, though. The thing I hated the most about that job was not the people or the people I had to work with. It was the soundtrack that I listened to every single day. It was the same 7 songs, back to back to back. And then when I left there, I heard them in my dreams. That was the worst part. I still would hear one of those songs and be like, oh, what a time,
Well,
but, yeah.
Well, see, the reason why I asked you that is because it takes us knowing what we don't like to do or knowing what we don't like to be around to help us figure out what we do like. Right?
Yeah. I did have a job where I was a cubicle kid, and I realized very quickly that was not my life. I knew that I was going to be a creative. I've always been a creative. I come from a creative family as well. I just didn't know for a long time what specific avenue in the creative world what was meant for me. But I knew that being in one space all day was not it. I did know that.
I had a similar experience. I remember. So a lot of people don't know the first half of my career, I was like a software engineer, web developer. Yeah, I was a whole nerd. It was cool though. They used to call me
Interesting.
Dark Zuckerberg. It was a whole thing. And I remember I was sitting. I had a very similar experience. I was in a server room, and
Mm-hmm.
that was what my office was. I literally used to sit next to these two huge computers all day.
Mm-hmm.
It was cold,
Mm-hmm.
and I had one other
Yeah, that
guy.
part.
It was probably a room about the size of the studio,
Okay.
and it was just me and him in there, and then everybody else was like on the outside. And I remember looking at him one day and saying, "I'm not gonna die here, man.
Wow.
I got to get out of here. There's so much more I got to
Wait,
do."
and so that's so interesting. So what was his response to that?
His
Do you remember?
response was, "I'm getting the hell out of here too."
Wow.
And so I'll tell you a story. So he ended up. That was the worst job I ever had. I'm not gonna lie. It was
Yeah.
for a lot of different reasons. It was at a payday loan back end service center.
Okay.
So this company, they owned a bunch of payday loan stores,
Mm-hmm.
and they were just taking advantage of people. But like we were like the back office for them.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and one other guy, he was the IT guy, and so I remember he had he taught me a ton of stuff, learning to work with him.
Mm-hmm.
But we were talking one day, and and that's actually how I learned how to use Photoshop. Like I was trying to get out, I wanted to learn how to be creative, I wanted to get into a role, and so I remember I found this website called PhotoshopNerds.com. I don't even know if it's still around. And I went on it,
That's
and I
perfect.
did, and I went and downloaded an illegal copy of Photoshop. I sure did. I found some torrent
Sorry,
site.
Photoshop. He's sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry now. Trust me, y'all get a lot of money from me now, but I had to get out of there back in the day.
Right.
I think it was like Photoshop CS1 or something like that. And I went on this website, and like every day for a month, I just went through every single tutorial on the website.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear. At the end of it, I was just a little less bad. I was not. I could at least figure out how to crop an image, because I ended up getting the job. And I remember the company asked me to like design something for them.
Yeah.
And I wish I could find it. It was the worst. I know it was the worst. I see that. That's what I see in my dreams sometimes. I wish I could find that flyer they made me design for like a Budweiser event,
No.
because I know it was terrible.
No.
Because it literally took me everything that I taught myself in that 1 month of like learning color theory, cropping. I was just making
All of
shit
the
up.
things.
But you know what? I got the job though.
Amen.
I got the job though.
Amen. And it was a part of your story.
And it was
here
part
you
of
are
my
now.
story. And let me now, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I think a lot of folks have that story. So, you start off
Yeah.
there, but then how did you first get into set design and this whole creative world?
Man. I'm going to try to make this as concise as possible.
No, give me the version. Give me the version. I want the good version.
So, like I said, I've always been creative, but didn't really know what specifically that was going to lead to. And then after college, I went to Clark Atlanta. After I graduated, I still didn't know what I wanted to do. But having been from LA, which, as we all know, is a very expensive city
Yep.
and difficult city to figure it out in, whatever the it is. I told myself that I was not going to move back and figure it out. I was going to stay in Atlanta and figure it out, because it was just cheaper to figure it out here. And I'd already created this like kind of ecosystem of friends and peers to maybe help me figure it out. So after college, I started working at IKEA in Atlantic Station. And I was there for about a year and a half. And the job I thought I was going to get once I got there, quickly I realized was not going to happen. Because I initially wanted to be the person that made the little vignettes that you walk through in IKEA.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay.
Which technically is set design, but I didn't know at the time. I was just like, I would go there and be like, oh, this is so cool. You're like in different worlds. You could reimagine your space. It's awesome. So I got hired to do that, and then it did not happen. I got tricked.
Bait and switch you.
I got tricked, but I was getting paid really well, so I was like, okay, I'll stay here and figure it out. And then a tragedy basically happened. So my brother was actually shot and killed at Morehouse when I was, at IKEA. And when that happened, people say when you have a death or you experience a loss, that life is too short, and you realize this. And it sounded very cliche to me until it happened to me. And then I realized oh, no, life really is too short, because this one person that I thought, I was going to, was going to be my brother for the rest of my life and I was going to be around is no longer here. So if I'm not doing what I want to do now, I need to figure out what I want to do. So that kind of catapulted me into this space of self-discovery and what do I want to be, blah, blah, blah. And so one day I wrote down all of the things that I felt like I was good enough at to make money at. And on that list was fashion. So fashion was something I was always good at, but it was not really a passion of mine. It was just something that I liked to do on the side. But I was like, you know what? I have this money saved up. I've saved up all my little tuppence,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I really could do something with this. So let's just see what happens. And so I quit my job and I started a clothing line. It was called Youth Has No Age. And at the time that I was starting this line, my best friend was picking up a camera. He's an amazing photographer now. His name is Spencer Charles.
Oh yeah, shout out to Spencer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's my best friend. So he was picking up a camera at the same time I was figuring out what creative world I wanted to kind of live in, and we literally just like figured it out together. We would like be texting and be like, "Hey, let's just do a shoot. Let's just figure out a concept and do a shoot. Find some models. I'll go to the thrift store and buy some things and make a set." And we would make sets in my living room, in my bedroom, in my kitchen. My poor roommates would let us like take over the house because we didn't have the time or we didn't have the money, really, the resources to like rent a space or go to a prop shop and rent these props. So we were just very scrappy with it. And that happened for like really like a half a year.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know this, he knew this, but like we would be like viral, we would go viral on Tumblr, which when Tumblr was a thing.
Yeah.
Like every week we would go viral from something we did like the last week. And that was when I realized like, oh, this is the creative world is something that I think maybe I could, make money at. And we were making the sets and stuff for my clothing line. After a while of doing that, I was realizing that I was paying more attention to how I was making my trade show booth when I would do trade shows look. And I wasn't paying attention to the clothes at all. And so I did some research and realized that this idea of like making a space look beautiful was set design and creative direction. And it was like God was like, this is it. This is that thing. This is the thing I was trying to get you to at. Like, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I then sold that business and saved up, kept my money, and literally did free work for a year and maybe 2 or 3 months actually. All my friends who were like, Motion Family was one of my first big projects.
Yeah.
I love MoFam, but I would like just go and I would just do work for them, or I would ask anybody if they wanted a free set. And so I turned kind of like this year of figuring out into like my own version of like an internship, essentially. And then that kind of caught wind by people, and I started to get like paid jobs from there.
And around what time frame was that all happening in?
I'd say this was like 2000 and I got my first big project 2017.
Okay.
And that was making a nightclub that was on Trinity Ave called Club Daydreams, which was like a 2-level nightclub that was Willy Wonka and Alice in Wonderland reimagined, basically. At the time, I was very obsessed with like Japanese nightlife subcultures.
Mm-hmm.
And in Tokyo specifically, there are so many restaurants that you can go to that are like immersive, wild concept restaurants. Like, you can go to a restaurant that looks like a jail and eat out of a toilet, it's wild. Or like you can go to a restaurant that, I don't know, is owned by a serial killer, and you'll eat your food while someone is like trying to kill you. It's insane. But the idea of fully immersing people into a space that they would not typically be in, I thought was fascinating. And Atlanta is such a vibrant, robust, and youthful in nightlife space. I knew that a concept like club would go very well. And so that was the first big project. This guy had a club he wanted to make. He said that he wanted it to be whimsical. And so I approached this concept and we took it, ran with it, and it was huge.
Oh, that's dope. Now, so what's your process? Somebody comes to you for a project like that and they say whimsical. That's like the first time I've used that word all year. So if I come to you and I say I want something whimsical, like how do you then kind of start? What starts to happen in your brain when those ideas come around?
Got you. So there's a lot of conversation between myself and the client to make sure that we can like pinpoint exactly the direction that they want to go in. The idea always comes from them first because I don't want I don't want to bring my ideas and them not we not be aligned.
Yeah.
So it just has a lot of talking initially. I usually ask for like either a one pager or a write up that is also associated with photos. I'm a visual person, so like showing me what you like is very helpful for me in the creative process. So I basically combine their words, the photos that that they give me, and then my imagination to create the final product.
No, I think that's helpful too. A lot of people. So I also have a creative agency. I deal with a lot of stuff, and I think
Hmm.
one of the things you say kind of sticks out. I always tell people, like creativity can be defined a lot of different ways. And I
Mm.
think one of the worst things that clients can do when they come to you for a project is say, I don't want to stifle your creativity. Just go do what
Yeah.
you want to do. Because what I always do when they do that, I just draw like a stick figure on a piece. I'm like, here you go. That's being creative. Right. But the
Right.
best creativity
Right.
comes within like constraints and boundaries,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like, has that kind of been your experience? Or do you like when people just say, you know what, just go crazy, come up where you want to come up with?
No, no, that gives me anxiety. Do not tell me that because in my experience, I've had clients that, and I am thankful that they trust me enough to even feel comfortable enough to just let me run wild. But also at the end of the day, like I want to make sure that it is what you want,
Yeah.
as the client. And so I always push for them to give me their initial thoughts first, and then I'll take it that and run with that in the direction I see fit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So once y'all kind of land on an idea, then how do you kind of start to build that out? Like, do you like to do you mock things up
Yeah.
first? Do you just kind of play around with colors and stuff? Like just high level. Like, what's your process
Yeah.
once y'all have landed on? Okay, this is kind of the big concept.
Right. So I created an initial mood board for them
Okay.
that is just a combination of photos, colors, words, everything that I feel like we talked about previously, plus some. If they feel like this general mood board is going in the right direction, then I then take that and create very specific mock-ups. And that's for me to kind of help myself work through the process, but it's also for the client, so I'm managing expectations with them. I'm very, very particular about like exactly what you see being what you get. And so the mock up is helpful for that because, I will put the exact chair that is going in this corner so that like when the end product happens, it makes sense for them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
What types of like what kind of projects do you like working on the most? Do you like working on restaurants? Do you like kind of doing the big
Mm,
immersive set design type projects? Like what's kind of
yeah.
your favorite stuff?
I think it like every 6 months it varies, but I am in a space right now where I'm like absolutely in love with tour design.
Okay.
That historically has been the most difficult for me to grasp. So I think that the challenge of it has made it like I'm like obsessed with tour design right now because there's so much moving, literally so much moving with the tour design. You're basically taking something that in theory is supposed to be stationary, which,
Hmm.
like a set, but you have to figure out how to make it look beautiful and stationary while also making it detachable, like a Tonka truck,
Yeah.
like because you have to set it up and then break it down at the end of that show and then put it on a truck
You drive it.
and then drive it to the next city and then take it off the truck, put it back on a new stage. And all the stages are very different from the last.
Hmm.
So you have to make something that is modular and can fit a 50-foot stage or can still look nice in a 20-foot stage. So there's just so many details a part of a tour that that are really fascinating to me. And then the end product, like being able to sit in a crowd and no one knowing that I'm the person that made the set and being able to see the artist on stage interacting with it and then seeing hundreds or thousands of people in the stands feeling it,
Yeah.
having some type of like reaction. It is like undescribable. It's so cool. I'm doing well. She's in Europe right now, but for her North American tour, I did the
Hmm.
Sinead Harnett tour, and when she came to Atlanta, it was just so cool to just see people see her interact with, how the lighting sets on the stage design, how the lighting works with her outfit. Like all these things are a part of the creative direction process, and it's beautiful to see people like in awe of it.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. It's not just what's
Yeah.
on the stage. That's they have the LED
Everything works
screens, the
together.
lighting, the
Literally.
setups, the
Yes.
changes they might do between songs, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. The creative direction process for a tour is so intricate because, yeah, everything has to work together in harmony. So, you take the sonic and then you figure out, or I figure out the visual for that. So, what do the show screens have on them during this specific song? And every song, the show screens are different. But how does the show screen also connect with the actual set design on the stage? How does the set design on the stage work with the band on the stage as well? There are so many different layers of a performance, and it's just really cool. So I think that right now my favorite thing to work on would be tour design. And then I'm moving into, as of 2025, I'm moving into a more immersive art, like artist space as well. So I've been going to a lot of like these immersive spaces, like Meow Wolf in Colorado, and it's really cool to see how people's brains work and how they can create a space to look like something else. And I want to bring that to Atlanta. So
Yeah, there's a big one out in Las Vegas. It's called Area 51. Have you been to that one?
I have not been to that one yet, but I've heard wonderful things about it.
It's
I have
crazy.
not been. You been?
I've been like twice.
Okay, so what?
So
The first time you went, what was the first thing that you thought when you walked in?
So when you walk in, it's crazy because like the space is designed. I always say it's like you're going to an Illuminati meeting. Not that I've been to many Illuminati meetings, but just if I was going to one, I guess is what it would look like.
Hypothetical, huh?
Hypothetically.
Yeah.
And you walk in like in the kind of there's this open space in the beginning. They have this big huge tree, and it's like all
Really?
these lights and stuff. And there's kind of like a bar underneath it, and then they
Okay.
have all these different experiences. It's like 2 levels.
Okay.
So they have like different experiences where one is you go in. And it's like all these mirrors and music, and you're kind of in there. It's kind of trippy. There's another one where the Blue Man Group people kind of designed it.
Really?
It's like you kind of like walk into like different rooms, and there's just like a window you look through,
Uh-huh.
and it's all like mirrors and movement, and there's music. But then the crazy one everybody talks about is called Mega Mart.
Okay.
So Mega Mart is this humongous grocery store, and they have all
Okay.
these crazy products in it. Like they'll have like, I don't know, these oversized sticks of butter, but it's like alien butter. Or they'll have like, these like boxes of cereal, and like all this stuff has like weird names and all this stuff.
That is hilarious.
But then they have these little hidden doorways. If you walk through these hidden doors, there's like a whole alien spaceship that is like built on the back of it. And so you'll like walk through this door, like they'll have a door like where the meat section is.
Uh-huh.
And like even on the meat thing, it's like they'll have like turkeys with tattoos on them. Like every single
it's very
thing
trippy. The detail
is very trippy.
Yeah.
And then you'll like walk through they have like these little like back doors and like little things you can like crawl through. And all of a sudden you're like now like in like an alien spaceship.
Wait, is this a Meow Wolf?
Yeah.
It's Meow Wolf Area 51.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I didn't know that they were connected.
Yeah, they're connected.
That makes
So
okay.
if you're
got you.
you gotta go check that out if you're in Vegas. I've been twice.
Okay.
It's 100% worth it, and I
Okay.
think again, I would love to see something. 'Cause I was just talking to somebody the other week about I don't know if you're familiar with Damsel that was out here,
Yes.
but
Yeah, they
Damsel's
closed,
closing,
right?
right? And we were talking about Atlanta needs more of those kind
That
of
concept
immersive
was perfect.
experiences and concepts.
Yes.
Because again, we got plenty of grass walls out here, y'all.
Literally.
But we need
and neon
and
signs.
neon signs.
Don't forget about
we
the
need
neon
something
signs.
else to do, right? And like Atlanta needs more of those kind
Yeah.
of spaces
Yeah.
where there's immersive, there's entertainment, there's things to
Yeah.
do. Again,
Yeah.
beyond just the minimum.
Yeah,
If-
and I was talking to my friend about this recently, who he's in the nightlife space, and also like Atlanta nightlife is non-existent right now, and it's really like it's like a thing. So yeah, I absolutely agree, and that's why I was so sad when I found that Danville is closing because they've only been open
Yeah.
like a couple of months. It's only been like less than a year, but the concept was like perfect, and Atlanta eats that type of experience up. So I hope that either they can figure it out and reopen, or another concept like that happens, because it was really cool.
We need a Motown one. I'm gonna tell you right now.
That would be fire.
Like we need a Motown one.
That would be fire.
I wonder what happened with them. Again, not to like digress too much,
Yeah,
but like
yeah.
I do wonder. I wonder if it was a talent issue because I've been there once or twice. It was
Yeah.
really cool,
Yeah.
and it was a good night out. It was something
Yeah, it was
different to do.
beautiful. Mm-hmm.
And again, you don't get many shows in Atlanta like that.
That part.
You know,
Yeah.
go out to like Vegas, you can go see different things. But
Yeah.
out here in Atlanta, again, like all we get is, hookah and grass walls and lamb chops.
I know, and we love all those things, but sometimes, sometimes we want something a little different.
No, no. Let me ask you. So, what's your process for selecting a project? Because I'm really interested to understand like how do you jump from
Yeah,
set design to like tour design? Because that's a
yeah,
huge leap. Right?
yeah. It is. It is actually in almost every way possible. But in my mind, ultimately, it comes down to the vision, because if you can think of a concept, then everything else is just semantics to me. Um, the semantics are like, okay, how do I scale this so it's not just three-dimensional and stationary? Um, but I think if you have the vision, you can make it into anything.
Yeah.
That's how I believe. That's what I believe for real.
And when you get projects like that, I mean, how do you even put a value or price those kind of things out? Again, I know it's all,
Yeah.
I know it's all a little, fudge here and there because it's a multiple of lots of different things. But like,
Mm-hmm.
how do you value creative work?
That's a good question. How do I value creative work? I think it really is. It just depends on the project, and how I, come up with numbers. Well, it's sometimes the project comes with a number,
Right.
and then I have to kind of work backwards, which I actually prefer.
Yeah.
I always ask, like if they don't tell me their budget initially, I always ask, do you have a ballpark? Because I just need to know how big to dream, because I can dream this massive experience for you, and then you come back and you're like, I have negative money.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I got to figure out how to make this work, right? So I'd prefer them give me the number first, which I feel like all artists are kind of in the similar space, so that I can figure out how to create within their confines. But it really just depends on the project.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I want creatives to hear that because I deal with that a lot too. And I tell people it's like, I used to do the same thing even in web development. I used to feel like if people would give me a number, it's almost like they felt like, oh, well, he's going to do it for $1, but he's going to make the rest of this money. I'm like, no, like I need that
Right.
number because to your point, like I can dream very big.
Yeah,
But what I want to do is figure out how to give you the maximum value
exactly.
for your dollars. It's not that I can take advantage of you. So like,
Exactly.
yeah, please give me some give me some parameters to work within.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to come back with some big huge grand idea that I think is going to be amazing, and then you're like, oh yeah, actually, I got $50.
Right. Right. And then we're both just wasting our time.
Right, we're both just wasting our time.
Like-
I always say address the issue of money early and up front as much as
Yeah.
possible.
I absolutely agree. It may be uncomfortable in the beginning, but that's definitely one of the pieces of advice I give to artists is like, don't be uncomfortable with the concept of the budget.
Yeah.
Ask these questions, because knowing what the budget is beforehand will help you not have as many headaches later on down the process.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, the beautiful thing about the human mind, I always say, is like the power to manifest ideas into reality, right?
Yeah.
And so when you think about how things come to life, that's amazing. But at the same time, it can have a toll too, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I know mental health is a big thing that you like to focus on. So how do you kind of keep that balance of, just pouring out buckets of creativity while
Yeah.
also trying to kind of maintain your own, just again, your own mental health and all that?
Yeah. I think creating like healthy boundaries, like work-life balance boundaries, which has taken me so long to get to this point, and it's still like an ongoing thing. I think being a creative and being a business owner, the business owner part, it's like your brain doesn't really shut off, especially when you're doing something that you're like truly passionate about. But creating these healthy boundaries, like now I literally operate my business as like a 9 to 5. So I wake up, I prep myself before my 9 o'clock starting point. And then I work with my team from the hours of 9 to 5. And then we all know that after 5, that this is the time for us to just be humans and not be a part of this business. And obviously I have worked with like events, and the creative world sometimes doesn't care about that. So there are times often when we need to discuss things off of this time frame. But I think just making sure that I keep myself, I hold myself accountable to the boundaries that I have. And I try not to work as much on the weekends unless I have an event during the weekend. And then I'm also like a really big nature girl. So I will go on hikes, go like rock climbing. I will go just hang out with friends at the park. Spending time outside really is therapeutic for me, and so it helps kind of like realign myself. And so I'll just go outside as well.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this always on world. And I think that's been one of the hardest parts for a lot of people, especially when it's not even just doing the work, but to your point, it's like running the business. Because
Yeah,
there's so many things around just running a business
exactly. Yeah.
that are even outside of like the actual work that you're doing.
Yeah,
That's
you
one of
have
the
to use
things.
both sides of your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like you start doing it like, man, I didn't get into it for this shit. I didn't get into this to be sitting here and dealing with HR stuff or
Right?
be dealing
Like
with like people and added
payroll.
payroll.
Ah!
But like that's the part, right?
Yeah.
So I say as like a leader, you either have to accept that and figure out how to do it, or you find
Exactly.
other people that can do it for you
Absolutely.
that free that up.
Yeah.
So that you can again focus on the things you want to focus on, because I'm a big believer in
Absolutely.
do only the things that you can do.
Yeah, and even that part, like, I just want to be clear that is a process, right?
Yeah.
You don't start out being able to just delegate and have people on your team
Yeah.
automatically. You start out doing everything on your own, and then eventually growing into a space where you can, you have the capabilities to bring on other people to help you with these things so you can take them off of your personal plate. But yeah, I mean, all of that just takes time.
What do you think one of the biggest misconceptions about what you do is?
Oh my gosh, that it's easy. I think what?
But you can't just come up with this stuff. I mean, like
Oh
a
my
day.
gosh.
Like, what do you mean?
I get this is from a client perspective, and just like I get DMs about people just thinking that this is just a quick thing.
Yeah.
That I'm dreaming and I wake up and the dream, the vision is right there, and then I can just snap my fingers and everything is done. The whole project is made. But there's just so much time and effort, times so many different people that take part into creating a project. So I think the most common misconception is that that this is just an easy profession. It is absolutely not. Or that that because I have a team, I'm able to just sit down with my feet up and just have them, and they just do all the things. But no, like I'm in there in the trenches, drilling holes,
Yeah.
building things with my team, because that's just the type of person that I am. And also, having started with no team, I now am so super involved that I'm also a part of all different aspects of the creative process for a project. Yeah.
Oh, I've lost my train of thought, but don't worry, because Casey's going to edit that part out. No, I know what I was going to ask. So when you're working on projects, do you typically do like more than one project at a time? Because one thing that
Yeah.
I've kind of noticed too is, especially the bigger the project is, it's kind of like it takes a lot out of you.
It does.
And I've kind of learned for myself, at least,
Yeah.
the bigger the project, I definitely need to kind of build in some downtime before I jump to the next
Absolutely.
thing. Like, how do you kind of juggle that?
Yeah. So I'm doing a better job now of not taking on as many projects at one time, but there are always at least 2 or 3 projects happening at once.
Probably in different phases too, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I prefer them being in different phases because it's very difficult to have, 2 back-to-back events at the same point of execution. As opposed to I'm in ideation phase of this project, I'm in execution phase of this project. That kind of I'm able to spread out the efforts a bit easier that way. But there are also times where 2 weeks ago, my team and I had an Atlanta United event and a Kamala Harris event within one day of each other.
Mm-hmm.
So it does happen, but I am doing a better job of of not taking on too many projects, because the more you take on, also the less fun I think it becomes.
Yeah.
In my experience with my team, yeah, it's great to have all these projects under your belt, but the more you take on, the less time you get to give to the individual ones. And so I'm minimizing our projects to probably 1 or 2 a month. I want to get to that point because I want the projects to be bigger, but I want us to have enough time to really execute them in a way that is very thoughtful. So yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, and you've mentioned the idea of team a couple of times. I'm interested to kind of understand what what are the roles on your team? Like for people that, want to do something similar
Right.
in there, like you said, you went from being it yourself to a team. Like what does your team consist of?
Got you. Yeah. So when I first started, it was me and my best friends who were so gracious enough to like come and pull up after work to help me build things. But over the years, I've started the process of hiring a team dedicated to what I'm doing around me. So I currently have my assistant. Her name is Shanita. I have a producer or a project manager. Her name is Selin. I have a social media gal. Her name is Kayla. And then I have a slew of PAs, but 3 or 4 that I use on a really consistent basis. So the general team is, myself. I have 3 interns, my producer, my social media girl, my personal assistant. And then when we have events, then however many PAs are necessary for the project to be a success.
To kind of scale up or scale down.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's been some of your favorite projects? Again, we all know that you did the Trap Museum, but like, what are some other projects you've done since then that you've really enjoyed?
Gosh, there have been a lot. I really enjoyed doing Black's tour. I did his tour for the Since I Have a Lover tour, and that was I love doing tours, so that was a lot of fun. I did Janelle for Essence. I think it was last year.
Okay.
And that was really cool. She's just a really fun person to work with.
She seems fun.
Yeah, she's a hoot and a holler. Okay. I was Jadena's art director and set designer for about 2 years when he did 85 to Africa. And that whole process was such a beautiful experience because the whole album was really the combination of Atlanta, U.S. Black culture, and like the culture of U.S. ghetto and then the culture of Nigerian ghetto fusing together. Through sound, and then it was my responsibility to figure out what that looked like based off of the sound. So that project was so much fun because it was just the fusion of these two cultures was so beautiful to see. We had a lot of fun on that project, a lot. So yeah, I'd say that was another favorite. And then most recently, Usher, because he's Usher.
Oh yeah.
Back in like 2021, I did a Usher performance, and he wanted the space to look like someone's attic that no one had seen or been up to in like 15 years. So he wanted the entire space to have like layers of storage things, but all covered by fabric. And then he wanted specific pieces to kind of pop out. So that was fun to work with him because he is an icon. It's Usher, right? So that was really a beautiful experience too.
Okay, all right. And you did some work with Summer Walker too, right?
Yes, yeah, I did her album cover art. Yeah, and then for I think it was Soft Life, Clearwater. I don't remember. One of these most recent albums.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was a really fun experience. It was the one where she's pregnant and she's sitting in this canoe with all these flowers around her. So we had to cheat that shot because she was at the time, I think, 6 or 7 months pregnant, and it was 20 degrees here in Atlanta.
Oh.
And I do not think that she swims. So the overall concept was like, how are we going to get this done and then no one like die in this? So my amazing PA, Asa, and I figured out a way we basically went to go get a canoe, put the canoe at the edge of a dock, and I sat in this canoe. The canoe was half on, half off the dock, and he put cinder blocks on the other side to balance the weight. And so we basically built this like cheat shot that made it look like she was in the middle of the water when she was really sitting on a dock, basically. But yeah, it turned out really nice. I really liked that one.
And just out of curiosity, like, how do you even know like those are opportunities? I think a lot of creators probably don't even know like things like album covers and
right.
So there's lots of ways you can express yourself creatively. Like how do those opportunities kind of come around? Is it just relationships, or were you pursuing that kind of work?
So now everything, I am 100% referral based.
Yeah.
But
That's
when
a
I
good place to
first
be.
started out, I'm very thankful for the network. But when I first started out, I would cold call people. Like I would spend 3 hours a day researching people that I wanted to work with and how to get in contact with them. And so I created this database of email addresses,
Hmm.
and I would spend 3 hours a day searching, and then I would spend 1 hour a day sending either DMs or emails to these people. And I would send like 10 a day. And so I like to think that eventually some of that maybe paid off. In the beginning, there was no proof of concept. So these people were probably like, who is this girl hitting me up about set design? There's no work here. But I think that me having done that for so long, and then that combined with the work that I was doing to prove myself, kind of created this kind of buzz. But then also, the Atlanta network is so beautiful and strong. And I'm so thankful to be in this space where like a lot of us all went to school at the same time.
Yeah.
So we've all been able to kind of watch each other grow together. And so now we have this very tight knit network of relationships where, if I am looking for a new artist to work with, I can reach out to these people who are A&Rs for these labels. Or, if I need an amazing photographer, I can go to these people who have experience with that. So yeah, everything now is referral based. It comes to me, but that was not how it started out.
That's what's always interesting about Atlanta. And I've noticed that it's like, people always joke and say, yeah, it's like all y'all know each other.
We
And it's
do.
like we do. Yeah,
We
we either went to high
absolutely
school with
do.
them or went to
Literally,
college with
that
people,
part. And
and
I'm only here from a college
yeah.
perspective, but like the before
Yeah,
college,
just
the
being around.
network is so intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Atlanta, and the longer I live here, the more I realize it really is not a real place, and I love that so much. Like I love it so much.
Shout out to CAU and all the amazing
Man,
folks that went to the AUC
yep.
as well. You
Find
know
a
what
way
I'm
to make
saying?
one. Hmm.
So what do you kind of see the future for the kind of work you're doing? You think kind of touring is where you're going to focus for a while, or is there? And I know you talked about this immersive space. Like,
Yeah.
what's kind of on the horizon for you?
Well, tours, yes. I told myself I wanted to do at least 2 tours this year, and I did Sinead's, and I feel like I did someone else's before that, and I don't remember, which is awful. But touring definitely, like, it has my focus right now. But for 2025, I'm planning that right now. I'm looking to open up some brick and mortars.
Okay.
I think that's the next step of the scaling process for Set by Sky. So yeah, I'm looking to open up a prop shop because there are no Black-owned prop shops in the state of Georgia and no Black-owned female prop shops in the United States. So yeah, so there's obviously a market, a niche market for that. And I'm just kind of tired of going to these prop shops and no one looks like us.
Yeah.
And I remember, like I said in the beginning about my story, that I remember growing up and like trying to figure out, while I was figuring out what set design was and creative direction was, not having the resources to afford to go and rent things. And so I want to create a space where, I can give discounts to students or to new creatives that are trying to figure it out, but don't have access to anything, elements that they need in order to create the process that they want creatively. So yeah, I'm gonna open up a prop shop in 2025, and I have 4 storage units right now that I've been paying for the past like 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and it's time for this stuff to be used. And the amount of projects that I do, it's time for me to create a space where like I can have a workshop where I can actually build things myself there, and I can teach classes for those who are interested. I want to have a space where people can come and look and imagine and then rent from there. And also, a space where all of these movie production companies that are coming to Atlanta can come and rent from.
Yeah.
So that's definitely one of the businesses that are going to be started up. And then I'm going to create this immersive experience that is kind of housed around like mental health and therapy. So in nature. So how being in nature affects your brain, and how that makes the rest of your body feel. So, people say, they love going to the beach or they love being in the forest. There is like scientific reasoning behind why you go to the beach and you feel better when you're like your feet are in the sand. Like the tactile element, there's something behind that. So each room is going to have a different environmental feel, and there's going to be science behind it, so you can understand like this is why you feel this way. And I want to connect with like an app like Calm or BetterHelp, to also be able to provide like therapy for creatives, because I think that there's so much that is unsaid as it relates to the journey of getting from the starting point to the I've made it process. And the idea of mental health, we don't talk about enough, I think, And so I want to help destigmatize this idea of, not talking is okay when you're going through something. Because I know so many creatives then and now that are struggling with things and nobody talks about it, or they don't feel like they have the space to do so. So I want to create this space where you can come and do a sound bath in a space that looks like the forest, or you can come and get therapy in a space that looks like a beach. So yeah, that's another project that's gonna happen next year.
No, I love it, and BetterHelp is one of our sponsors. So BetterHelp, y'all better get over here, come check this out. You know what I'm saying, and make that happen. It's about them collabs.
Absolutely.
But no, I love what you said. As a Pisces that goes to the water every couple of months to recharge. I definitely understand the stance in the water, and then just from a business standpoint, I always tell people I think that when you see opportunities, there's lots of different ways to benefit from it. When people see gold rushes, sometimes they think the best way to win is to go dig for gold.
Yeah.
I believe in selling picks and shovels.
That part.
And I really like what you're doing as far as like creating the resources and the tools for more people to come into the industry to be able to like use those things. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Before we get out of here, how can people find you? How can they book you? How can they reach out? With the budget, of course, to try to work with.
We can talk about that too. You'll be surprised how many projects I take on, and my team hates me for this. But I will also just take on projects that feed my soul.
Yeah.
That like I feel like either the end goal is going to be so beautiful, or I think that the world needs to see this, even if the budget is not what I think it should be. There are ways to scale down. But yeah, so you can reach me at literally everything is Set by Skye. So my website is setbysky.com. You can email me at wave@setbyskye. My Instagram, all socials are Set by Skye as well.
Okay.
So everything
You're one of the lucky ones. You got everything to match up.
Thankfully, my name is not like something that people hear all the time, and so it was easy to find.
Well, that's dope. Yo, congratulations on everything. Thank you so much for coming in. This has been dope, and that's the pod, y'all.
Bye. Awesome. That was so quick. We talked